Okay, welcome back to Tool Review Wednesdays. Today we have the OTC 6918 4.6 liter, 5.4 liter, 3-valve spark plug removal tool. Now the idea behind this tool is to take your spark plug that's in the head, not broken yet, and grip the jam nut and the center electrode all at once and turn them together and take the whole plug out in one piece. If you don't know it already, the 3-valve plugs are notorious for breaking apart in 3, 5 pieces, whatever happens on your particular vehicle. But there are 3 separate sections of it. We have the jam nut right here. So you turn that with your socket and that comes out. Nothing else to it, okay? And then you got your center electrode and porcelain left down the cylinder, so you pull that out. Crack it, comes out. And then you have the tip down inside the cylinder that gets stuck also, and that's the whole root cause of this whole problem. Now, this tool is not a miracle tool. It may work in certain instances, but I could not get the tool to work on my particular vehicle here, and I show a demonstration on the bench, and it doesn't work all that well either. It does have other uses for pulling the porcelain out though, which can be very useful in conjunction with the Lisle tool for pulling out the tip here. So there are uses for it. We're going to go over each one of them, and I'll show you exactly how the tool works in theory on the bench, nice and close, and then we'll do a demonstration on the bench and on the vehicle. Let's get to it. Okay, so this is the tool up close right here. The idea is for this center threaded rod and collet to grip onto the center electrode and pull and turn the center electrode and porcelain along with this part turning the jam nut, so the whole thing comes out together, right? So the way this works is these 2 pieces go together. Okay, you put the this whole tool down into the spark plug well, you get it on there, and then you tighten the threaded rod real tight. I mean, with a wrench. I think it's a 5/16 down here. And then what you can do is take this piece, which is basically an extension, a spark plug, or a socket extension, let's just say. That goes down in there, grips onto the hex, and then up here we have a nice 1/2 inch for using a breaker bar so we can really get this thing out of there. So I'll show you on the bench how it works, I'll show you on the car how it works, and I'll also show you another good use for this tool besides this. Okay, so real quick, I'll give a demonstration on the bench here. We're going to clamp down the tip of the spark plug into the vise to simulate a stuck, carboned up spark plug. Get it tight just enough. And then we'll take the tool, plop it onto there, and we'll tighten down our center threaded rod to 5/16, and we'll get that nice and tight. Okay. And then we're going to take our extension, pop it onto there, and we can use a big old 1/2 inch like this to really start trying to get it out of there. And the idea is the whole thing will just come out. So we're really going to tighten down this vise to test this concept. Now, the idea is a good one, but there's nothing still keeping the tip and the jam nut together. Okay, so you can hear it cracking. Now obviously we're not going to be turning out of the cylinder right now and separating these pieces because we're in a vise, but right there you can see. Okay, let me get this back up there. It's still going to happen to an extent, depending on how badly stuck the spark plug is. Let me zoom in on that. So you can see it just basically twisted the center electrode and of course cracked all the porcelain off of there. And these 2 pieces still separated. Now before you give up on this tool, there are more uses for it. Now these tips of the spark plug break off many different ways. You may find one like this where it's just porcelain and there's no center electrode. you may find it like this, where there was a center electrode a little bit sticking out and a mushroom inside of there. Or like this one, they can stick up and break off just about flush like this, and there's a center electrode sticking up. What you want to do is have a situation where there's just porcelain down in there, no center electrode, because that center can mushroom inside of there and create a situation where the tap on the Lisle tool cannot get far enough down in there to grip it and pull it out and do its job. So, like I said, there is another use for this tool. If you come across a situation like this where the jam nut comes out, it's gone, and you have the center electrode and the porcelain left, what you can do is use the tool. Okay, get it onto there, and then we're going to tighten over the center electrode. Like so. And then we're going to use a few other tools, okay? At the top of the spark plug well, you put this tool on top, and then you put this nut on here. And as you tighten and force this down, which can't go anywhere because it's at the top of the spark plug well, it'll pull the threaded rod up along with the center electrode. So it looks something like this. Try to keep my hand steady. So you're tightening it and it's pulling the center electrode up and out of there with the porcelain. And this is ideal because this is the full length of the center electrode, and then you go down in there with the Lisle tap and you just tap it full threads, and it's going to come out every time. What you don't want to do is keep tapping over and over again with the Lisle tool, and then the tip will not come out because you can't grip it anymore. That's not a good situation. So it does have another use, and it's to get the center electrode and porcelain out, even if it didn't come out all together like that. So I was going to give up on this tool, but I'm going to keep it just for these situations on the different vehicles, because these break in so many different ways. All right, here we go. Now the instructions call for a 3/8 on here, but obviously it's a half. So we're going to use that, and we're going to use this awesome snap-on flex head I have that's extra long. It's like a breaker bar and ratchet all built into one. Hopefully we don't lose focus. It actually comes out. This point does not sound too good. I'm going to be honest, before all this, I was pulling out the plug without this. So it did start cracking a little bit, the porcelain on there. We'll see what this thing does. Sounds good now. Not good. Not good. Let's pull this sucker out. Yeah, that's what I figured. So we're going to try this again on another cylinder I didn't touch and see if it actually separates, or it takes two out together. But just like I figured, once it's cracked and split, there, it's done for. There's nothing really can be done besides that Lisle tool. We'll try it out. Another one. Alright, same thing on cylinder 6. I loosened it, and this time I used the Motorcraft carb cleaner that Ford's now calling for. And I also was able to loosen it without any cracking or weird bad noises. So let's try this tool one more time, give it a fair shake. Get this stuff out of the way. Okay, it's on there snug. Let's get the special socket on there and give it a whirl. Okay, here we go. So far it sounds really good. That's my ratchet. Either the whole thing's coming out nice and smooth, the porcelain and the jam nut, or the whole thing's coming out. What's that? Nope. Alright, this is probably the best angle I'm going to get here. So I'll kind of show you how this works. Like I said, there's only porcelain down in there and a tip. So we're going to make sure this is screwed out enough so we can grab onto that tip. Okay, we're going to get it down in there. You'll kind of feel it fall onto there. Then you just turn the center rod with an 8mm until it's tight. Like I said, that collet will grasp the porcelain tip there. So you get it in there. It's starting to snug up. Alright, there we go. So it's a little hard to get it to bite onto there because the jam nut part of it down there is spinning, but I've tightened it enough where I can't yank it out by hand. So it's gripping. So now this part goes on. Okay, and then your jam nut. Alright. It's on the right size socket. Apparently it's standard size. So we'll get this jam nut threaded onto here. It's just going to push off the well on here. I don't know. And the socket size is a 11/16. Okay, it's snugged up. Let's see what happens. I was able to get a grip and pull that porcelain out. You can see most of the porcelain came out except for the very tip where it obviously cracked when the plug came apart. The point is, you see that tip on there? I got the tip out. You don't want to deal with that tip. The center electrode, when you're pushing the porcelain down and all that, just causes headaches. So if you can get it out, it's all the better. So for this purpose, this tool actually worked once I got it on there and nice and tight. Now, I can't honestly recommend this tool for do-it-yourselfers, but as far as shops go, it definitely is a time-saving tool. Like I said, I'm running into this more often now where the tip is stuck down in there and the full porcelain like that. So you're down in there with screwdrivers trying to break it, and you get the needle nose down there trying to grip it, and especially in the back cylinders, it can be really, really time-consuming. So it makes perfect sense to own a tool like this. Working at Ford's all the time and seeing these 3-valve plugs like this all the time. You'd think by now, 2015, all these old 3-piece plugs be gone, but they're still rolling into the shop left and right. So I'll put links to the tool down below. You guys can take a look for yourself. I think it's like 65 bucks maybe. It's not too much, and try it for yourself.